ultimately, do Malaysians really care about this meritocracy? Or is it just about, you do your own thing, I'm just going to do my thing, and I'm just going to put my head down and do the best that I can, and forget about anything that's around me. As long as I do a good job, I'll be recognized, and I'll be rewarded as such.
Well, okay, when we talk about meritocracy, right, and also nepotism, the issue at hand, again, like I said, it doesn't happen in isolation. If we want to know whether or not the organizational structure or organizational culture in Malaysia actually best to accommodate the best talents, we can see the brain drain percentage or rate, which is in Malaysia, our rate actually at 5.5, almost double the global brain drain rate. That means our talents are actually going abroad to find a better prospects, better chances and opportunity for them. And for whatever reason, they don't feel like Malaysia is actually a fertile ground for them to, to actually best develop themselves when it comes to career growth and whatnot. So I think to answer your questions, people are just the most important thing is how we are actually creating the vicious cycle. Actually, the poor remains poor or getting poorer, and the rich get richer. In the same study, actually, the segregation between the poor and the rich are getting larger. You don't say, and you don't tell me that has nothing to do with nepotism or cronyism, for example, and the nexus between those classes. If you read Marx, for example, you will know that there's some sort of bourgeoisie and petty bourgeoisie who have quid pro quo or something that they can having transaction with. For example, just now Ashraf mentioned, right? It's probably like mentorship or advice, and that's considered a very valuable resources. Sorry, I haven't finished.
Yeah.
So that's what happened. And the thing about when I talk about Gini coefficient in Malaysia, that's fact. It's not manipulated or anything. It happened. So we must look at it on how it actually impacts the society and not just us as an individual. And we are talking about talents who don't feel like they want to be part of Malaysia. They are actually finding opportunities elsewhere, and the culture that actually exacerbate that. That's where we have to analyze. That's where we have to understand why it happens the way it happens. So again, like I mentioned, the quid pro quo or the nexus between political and business classes, actually at the end of the day, will have more social discrepancies. We are not going to go when as a society, as an individual, if we can't realize or actualize our fullest potential, so does our countries. Because as an individual, when you can actualize your potential, which actually can be contributed towards a country, where does that go? Like how does it fall?
Where does it end?
Yes,
basically?
at the bigger picture, at the like the larger framework. So when we talk about nepotism, it's not just about individual. Actually, it's always systemic and structural. And I'm talking about justice, social justice, economic equality, and how certain education, for example, the first sort of like ground or actually exacerbate the barriers, for some people to actually break the ceiling because they don't have the same access, the access between social classes, the access between people who live in Ceruk Tok Kun Kedah or in Kelantan compared to those people who live in Monkiara, Kuala Lumpur. So all those things adds up, and this is actually the problem that we have at hands, because if we don't see it through, it's just gonna get worse.